to A Well-Designed Business. My name is LuAnn Nigara, and I'm so glad you found this podcast. Together with my husband Vince and our partner Bill, we have grown our company WindowWorks from the ground up. So I know and I understand the challenges you face in running your interior design business. I also know that your talent alone isn't enough to ensure your success. So on this podcast, we talk about strategies and practical steps to help you grow your business. But make no mistake about it, we have our share of fun here too, mixed in with those aha moments that I love so much. This isn't fluff. Nobody has time for that. Whether you are a new interior designer or a seasoned designer, I am here to help you create and to manage the kind of interior design firm that you dream of. It's straight talk and it's action. Are you ready? Let's get started. Hi, welcome to A Well-Designed Business. Have you ever thought about, like in the beginning of your business, maybe that's where you are now, about some leap that you might take, but you didn't because of fear? Because you thought, I'm too new in my business to invest in my business in that way or to work with a certain person. Well, I hope my guest today will inspire you to rethink about those limiting beliefs that you might have. Brittany Farinas, owner of House of One, based in Miami, Florida, is joining me today. House of One's notable interiors have been featured in AD Pro, Domino, and Vogue Living, to name a few. Brittany is also featured in Architectural Digest, except the difference here, not the difference, but the clarifying thing here is this feature came from an investment she made early on in her career. And I'm talking about when she was still a party of one in her business. I admire the faith that Brittany had in herself and her business right from the beginning. She took risks in her journey early and often, and she learned that doing the scary thing can make the difference in success. And before you think to yourself, wow, that seems nuts, she was also practical along the way as well. Well, we're going to hear this from her. But before we do, have you heard that the Power Talk Friday tour is back? The second part of have you heard yet is I'm not doing LuAnn Live in 2024. We are doing the Power Talk Friday tour this year. Now, what is the Power Talk Friday tour, you ask? Well, it is a one-day, hands-on, in the weeds coaching event that is literally a game changer for your business. You can be any level business owner. You can be an interior designer, a window treatment professional, photographer, copywriter, web developer. It doesn't matter. If you run a creative business and you get value by listening to the podcast, then the Power Talk Friday tour will blow your mind. The components of the Power Talk Friday tour are specifically designed to give value to the newest business owners, as well as to the most seasoned business owners and everyone in between. And here's how it does it. It's a full day with me and 5 to 7 other of my Power Talk Friday experts. We are together from breakfast all the way through our celebration dinner. We have several group discussions in the morning, and then the afternoon is all small 5-to-1 ratio breakout round table sessions, right? Add in all the opportunities in between for one-on-one time with each other and with me and those experts, and it adds up to a tremendously powerful, transformational day. You will leave with your questions answered or a path to getting them answered. You will leave with new friends that will be the beginning of lifelong relationships that will help you grow as a person and as a business owner. And you will leave energized and feeling confident in the next steps in your business. The other really cool benefit of the Power Talk Friday tour is that each event has a different combination of experts. So by definition, each event is a brand new experience, a brand new opportunity to up-level your business and sharpen your business skills in a different area of your business. So either plan to attend the one that is geographically closest to you or join me at all 4 stops throughout the country this year. The first stop is April 5th, 2024 in Dallas, Texas. I will have the Vin Man with me. I will have Kay Whitaker with me. Kay is a 6-time alum of this podcast. She is a co-author in my first Power Talk Friday Experts book, and she is an absolute genius at content creation and digital marketing. I'll also have Kathleen Anderson there. Kat is our resident Lu University QuickBooks specialist and our Design for Construction 201 maven. All right. And of course, the Vincenz is going to help you with your numbers. So, are you asking yourself, is it time to grow? Can I afford a new employee? How much should I pay myself? How do I schedule site construction visits for maximum efficiency and productivity? How do I set up my chart of accounts in QuickBook? Or how do I develop a content strategy that actually puts me in front of my ideal clients? How? Well, we have the answers. This is In the Weeds in your business. Go to powertalkfriday.com to learn more and register. Remember two very specific things. This is open and valuable regardless of your business size, your business experience, your gross sales. And remember the next most important thing. It's limited to the first 25 people. So do not hesitate if you know you want in. As I'm talking about this, I'm thinking about it was about this exact time last year that I opened registration for LuAnn Live. And I promise you, legit, we had more than 60 people sign up on the first day we opened the cart. So if Power Talk Friday is for you, don't miss out. Go to powertalkfriday.com. All righty. And let's meet Brittany. How about that? Yeah, let's do that. Hey, Brittany, thanks so much for joining me on A Well-Designed Business today.
Hey, LuAnn, how are you?
I'm great. So I'm thinking about this conversation, and because you listened to the show and you did the intake form in order to be on the show. And you said, I asked everybody, what do you suggest for your title? Not that I listen to you, by the way, all the time, but I do want to know what you think. We have to make titles for SEO. You have to understand that. We can't make them for the pretty. But I like to hear the way your brains think and what you think the focus is. And you shared that curating your design business, right? There's a what you do as a designer is curate the designs. But you've learned in your 5.5 years in business that you need to curate the business part too. So talk to me. What does that mean to you? Why is that a choice, a turn of phrase that you chose to share with me?
Absolutely. Well, first, thanks for having me on the show. As I mentioned to you before, I'm a huge fan and I've been listening to you for the last 4 years. And it's been such a crazy ride. LuAnn, when I was in design school, they obviously teach you the ins and outs of the technical drawings and the 3D renderings and all the things that you need to do in order to execute a design project. But to what it is to be a true entrepreneur and to be a business owner, and I think as I listened through all your podcasts, it's just been so enlightening to listen to everyone's stories and, from the size of their team to the types of projects that they work on and the types of vendors that they work with. And yeah, I think it's just as important being a business owner as it is to be a good designer, and being able to run a successful interior design business. You have to have both. Mm-hmm. So I'm excited to share a little bit about that today.
Yeah, I agree. You guys, we're cut from the same cloth here, because I expect you to do the pretty, but it's very difficult to create a business that's sustainable, that will attract repeat and referral clients if you cannot deliver on the experience and on the process, right? At the end of it, everybody pretty much gets to a pretty room. But if getting to that pretty room or building or space or whatever it is was painful and complicated and felt like a chaotic journey, then that's not going to be a referable client, right?
Absolutely. And I think too is, when we onboard a new client, the types of projects that we work on, they take anywhere from a year to 3 years to complete. So, we're in a relationship with these clients for, long periods of time, and we become essentially an extension of their lifestyle. So if there's a lot of friction there, then it's not going to be a successful experience, and it's not going to be a successful project as beautiful as it can be. And, mm-hmm. That's something that I express to my team is, we can make a room look beautiful in 100 different ways, but how can we improve that process so that clients, can speak about us from the standpoint of, we love working with them. They were so much fun to work with. And yes, our project and our home is absolutely stunning.
Right, 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 right. Now, what's interesting is that, as we mentioned, 5.5 years in business, you have already hired several of the professionals that you've learned about from the podcast. And so Stacy Davidson does your accounting, and does she work with you? Well, tell me the name of this is horrible that I can't remember the name of it, but it's something behind the design, everything but the design.
Yeah, everything but the design, exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah, Stacy's amazing. I've been working with her for almost a year now, and Stacy's my business advisor. We meet once a week, and then Abby, who's part of her accounting department, her and I have a weekly meeting as well. She does all of our bookkeeping alongside Stacy, and they're helping develop now our staging division, which is super exciting. But they've definitely helped keep, our processes streamlined. Stacy also does some HR work for us, and she really has become that sort of chameleon, and has worn many hats for the business and has made everything great. So I'm really happy to have her.
That's great. Yeah, I loved my interview with Stacy. We'll link it in the show notes here. I just she impressed me, and I don't think I realized that was the depth of what she does. So you're meeting with her. She's almost feels like she's kind of functioning as like a director of ops for you or something. Like if you're meeting with her every week or a COO type of a thing.
Yeah, absolutely. And, when we sit down for our weekly meetings, like she's always dropping, some nugget there for me. And that, that means the next day I'm coming in to the office and I'm like, girls, we're going to change the way we do this and we're going to do this way. And everyone's just so excited to always, improve on our processes. And that's my main thing is I want everyone in the office to, to do what they're doing at the optimal efficiency level, but then also, that translates into the client experience. So it's been great.
Yeah. And you've also hired a design partnership, Natalie Norcross's team. And so that's a PR firm. And what are you working like? That's unusual that young in business to have the content for a PR firm, to have, so tell me about that experience.
Yeah, so it's funny. I actually hired Natalie before I hired my first assistant. So she
Wow.
was, yeah, I was really fortunate early on to have had the opportunities that I had. And then, also just at the time I was working a couple different jobs. I was working two serving jobs. I had a real estate job and, and then I was also going to design school and then starting my own business. So I had a lot going on at the time. And when I reached out to her, through finding out about her through the podcast, I had content from projects that
Wow.
I was like, I have these beautiful photos. I'm posting them on Instagram, but I know that, there's so much more potential for this content. So, when I reached out to her, I identified early on that I was, like I said, lucky enough to have these opportunities, and I knew I had to capitalize on that. So Natalie has been with me for a while now, and she's gotten us, press everywhere from Architectural Digest to the Wall Street Journal to
Wow.
local press.
Wow.
And it's, I think that really, early on boosted our credibility and people were really recognizing that we were working on big scale projects. And from far, you would think at the time I had this big team and that I had
Yes.
this whole infrastructure, and I didn't. It was really just myself. And, the last project that I did on my own was a 10,000 square foot house. And once I got the photos back from that project, that's when I knew I needed some help. And that project ended up being shortlisted on HGTV for Designer of the Year in 2022.
Wow.
So yeah, Natalie, funny enough, was one of my first hires,
Wow.
essentially.
Wow. So the reason that I brought this up, and in addition to admiring these two women in their companies and wanting them to get a little bit of a shout out here, but the reason I brought it up is because, it had to take a lot of guts to
Yeah.
make these financial investments at this early stage in your business. And I think I want to know about that. I want to know about that mindset of saying, I'm going to do this. But I also want to know the practical of it. So, for example, when you're telling me that you are hiring Natalie and you're still with two wait jobs, serving jobs and a real estate job, you're not even full time and you hire a PR firm. So there's guts in there, but did you fund that from the other businesses? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, are you just like, I'm investing in my business, whether it's profitable at this point or not, this is what I'm doing?
Yeah, I definitely took a leap of faith. I've always looked at my business and scaled my business from a practicality standpoint. And, I have these, I guess like I'm, 50-50. One side of me is very free spirited, very passionate about what I'm doing, and I'm just very creative, right? And then the other side is the business side. So I'm like, okay, how much is this really going to cost me at the end of the day? How long is this? Going to last? Like, what if, I'm not profitable? What if I don't get more projects from this? Like, what if, PR looks great and it sounds great and it feels great, but what if this doesn't bring, the revenue that I'm expecting? And I think, and I liked how you said it took a lot of guts, and it did. And, to this day, a lot of what I do does.
Yeah.
And I take risks, but I have faith in what we do, and I have faith in what I was doing on my own at the time. But to answer your question, yes, I was funding the business from my other jobs
Yeah.
until I could get, these, bigger jobs that were paying more. And, obviously, like every other designer, when I first started out, I wasn't charging what I'm charging now.
Hmm.
I look back at what I was charging before and I just cringe because I'm like, oh my God, those like sleepless nights and all the time that I spent on site, and charging these flat fees when I should have been charging hourly and that whole thing. But yeah, I really, I took the risk, and it's really paid off. And
Yeah.
I have seen the return on that investment tenfold because, people will refer to my projects as like, oh, the one that I saw on HGTV, or oh, the one that, that you guys posted on your Instagram that was on the cover of Kitchen and Bath.
Wow.
So it's really paid off.
That's amazing. So set me back into that mindset, because I believe that you have to invest in your business to grow it, right? Like, what's
Yeah.
so interesting is because I think many interior design professionals hesitate or push back investing in their business in the beginning, whether that means investing in PR or professional development so that you get you have a business coach by your side, whether that means having somebody like Stacy who's business and bookkeeping and so forth, right? I think a lot of times why design professionals resist this is because typically there is almost no expense to being in business. In other words, you can work out of your home, you can advertise on Instagram for free, and with a simple cell phone and a couple of like a Canva account and a My Doma Studio software, you can
Yeah.
run a project, right? But the thing is, when you think about the same interior designer, if they wanted to open up like a boutique clothing store, they would understand, before I open my doors, I will have invested probably $25,000 or $30,000 in inventory, probably $30,000 in outfitting the store with racks and beautiful changing rooms. And, it's like crazy. And I think it sometimes is just because you can start with no financial investment. But the difference of the learning curve and the distance between, like in this case, press and no press, is literally paying for the professional guidance and service of making it happen, right?
Yeah, I definitely I agree with you on that. And I think, yeah, it's easy to market it yourself from, finding different ways to do it for free and finding the easier way out. But I just knew going into this that I wanted to run a business and build a business that was legitimate and that felt legitimate. And I always, I kind of like removed that sort of imposter syndrome from the very beginning. I was owning it. I was confident, and I knew that all the hard work that I was putting, I started out doing all the drawings myself, all the renderings myself, the 3D modeling. you know, down to the procurement. And I did, like I said, a ton of research, and I found the platform that, you know, really helped organize all the project management stuff. And that was Design Spec. And, you know, which I started out with Design Spec in the beginning. We still use it to this day. And so I felt confident in what I was, you know, the service that I was providing to our clients and the value that I was bringing to the table. And so I really wanted to, I guess, boost the business up as much as I can and make it look and feel and run like a legitimate, you know, business. I never singled myself out of like, I'm just this young designer starting out. How do I get to be, you know, like Kelly Wearstler level? Like I always imagine myself like I'm on her same playing field, you know, like
Go girl.
we have we have amazing clients, we have amazing projects, they're beautiful projects, and you know, I'm gonna run my business like that. And you know, but there is a balance, right? Like there, because I am a dreamer and I've always, you know, dreamt big very early on, but you know, I took it slow. I hired slow, and you know, thankfully now I have just such an amazing group. And you know, that did come through a little bit of trial and error. Hiring people, like I said, you know, I didn't work at another interior design firm. I did an intern at another design firm. So
Wow.
I really just built this, you know, based off of research and following my gut and what I really wanted it to be. And so the people who weren't reflecting that, you know, thankfully early on, kind of just almost removed themselves from the group. And now, you know, like I said, I have solid systems in place that continue to evolve. And yeah, I think everyone kind of takes a different approach in the beginning, and you kind of just figure out what's right for you. But I did come on with a very strong start.
Yeah.
So, and I intend to keep it that way,
That's
you
it.
know,
I love it. I
keeping
love
it
it.
moving.
It's not for everybody. So I
Hmm.
would love somebody else who goes slower and takes it slower. But it's hard not to acknowledge the investment and the confidence that you put behind yourself. My question on it is taking us back. I hear that you just had a conscious decision. I'm not going to engage in imposter syndrome. I'm not going to allow that to really. Maybe you had a moment here and there, but you're not going to live in it, right?
Yeah,
Right?
exactly.
Right? You're not going to live in it. What was external support like? In other words, were there people, I don't know if it would be parents or siblings or partner, who was just like, wait, girl, like you're in business a minute, you're gonna have a PR firm, not that that's the questionable thing, but any investment and any I'm making a business, sometimes that confidence that you're exhibiting and that you're recalling in yourself also sets other people back, and they're like, what are you doing? You're not big enough yet to do that. Did you have any of that, or is everybody in your corner like, you got it, Brittany, we are on the Brittany train?
So it's funny. I definitely had some people who were questioning the growth and who were questioning some of the business decisions that I was making. Um, One of my professors, I'll never forget this. You know, it was my second job that I had, and I was still in design school. And he, you know, I was like, look, the schoolwork is like piling on. I'm literally coming to class like after leaving one of my jobs at like 5 in the morning. I'm showing up at 8 in the morning. Like I'm a zombie at this point, but I was getting it done. And I asked him one day, I'm like, look, I have this project, and it's a big project for a really, you know, big client who's very well known in Miami. And I need to submit these closet drawings to the contractor tomorrow. I'm like, I know this is an AutoCAD class and we're, you know, focusing on this case study project, but can I please just, I'm like, can you please just let me draw
Can
this
I
man's
do
closet?
my project in class and count it as homework?
Yes, that's exactly what I asked him. And he looked at me and he was just like, I don't know, like, what makes you think you're so special? You're like here thinking you're going to run your own design business. And he kind of told me, he was like, you know, you're too young, you're too green, you
Oh
can't really do
no.
this right now, you're not ready. And I kind of was just like, wow, you know, I left school that day and I was like, I was just so discouraged,
Oh.
not from running my business,
Right.
from finishing school.
From
Because
finishing school.
I'm like, look, I'm here trying to do the right thing, okay? I'm trying to do the right thing on paper. You're not letting me. Like, we're gonna hit a wall. So Um, so yeah, I had some people that, and also outside of school too, I had some of my mentors, who I had met, honestly, LuAnn, through working in hospitality, through working in real estate. I had people who were like, I think you got to get a couple more projects under your belt. I think you got to do, XYZ first, and then maybe you'll be ready. But then I also had a ton of people who were like, this is really special. Like what you're
Mm,
doing right now is very special. And there's just not that many people that I know at your age who have these opportunities and who, are willing to put in the hours and really like learn the trade
mm.
and do this. I never outsourced one drawing. I never, asked anyone for help. I was just like, I'm going to do this and I'm going to do this the right way. So I listened to those people, the people who I knew wanted the best for me. And, and on the marketing side, a lot of people were encouraging it. They were like, you got to get out there.
Yeah.
You got to get out there. And, I also had, some of my very close friends also help me with that as well. They had great connections in Miami. Miami's a place for networking. So it's
Yeah.
like, one person, they know the other, and the next thing you know, you're like in this big circle. So, I was just fortunate enough to, to meet all these people very early on. And yeah, and I think, that it's just going to be like that. You're going to have people, I think no matter what industry you're in, you're going to have people who are on the sidelines, like questioning, like what, how are you doing what you're doing, and how are you getting there, and how do you know these people, and asking all the questions. You just got to, like, ignore all that.
Yeah.
The haters are going to hate at the end of the day. So
I just love it. I love your belief in yourself. You know what I mean? It's the
thank you.
thing. It's a differentiator. We can all get there eventually, but the sooner we believe in ourselves and the sooner we understand that there's something in us worth believing, because there is something in everyone, right? Like nobody has the market on you are deserve this or you can do that. It starts with us claiming it and saying, this is what I'm doing. I believe in myself. I'm going to invest in myself. I'm going to do all the good things, listening to free podcasts, but investing in professionals, right? Like you didn't just like
Yeah.
buy everything. A lot of it learn by learning, right?
Yeah.
I just think it's outstanding. What's the 5-year plan? Like world domination, like do you see a
So
path ahead of you, or and you don't need to. You don't need to have a 5-year plan. You might be like, "Hey, give me a minute to like figure this out and really do what I'm doing." But or do you have a vision for where you want to be eventually?
I do. And it's funny because I had a feeling you were going to ask this question, and and so I was already thinking about it. I'm like, okay, so in 5 years from now, if I zoom out and I go 5 years back, did I think I was going to be here? Um, I don't know if I really had like a solid, idea of like where I even wanted to be, LuAnn, if I'm being completely honest. I've always just been the kind of person that I have faith that, I'll be happy as long as I'm enjoying the journey and I'm just working hard and, spending time on things that I love doing. And I know that comes, with a lot of challenges that, I've had to face over the last few years. But part of the reason why I think I love what I do so much is because it's just problem solving all the time. And
Mm.
that's just like stimulating, and it's fun and it's exciting. Um, but if I think about the next 5 years, right now the service that we offer to our clients is it's full design service. So meaning we'll take projects from the architectural planning phase to the design and schematics, and then we follow that up with the procurement. So we're sourcing, designing custom, working with great vendors, and then we're on site, boots on the ground with the GCs, and we're managing construction and then furnishing and styling the job. So right now, like I mentioned earlier, is we're looking to open a staging division
Mm.
for the company. So in the last couple years, I noticed something that was, really special, and that's that some of our clients have actually sold their properties for, double and triple the amount of what they bought them for. And they sold them fully furnished. Like
Yeah.
when I say fully furnished, I'm talking about down to the candle, down to the book, the artwork, like the buyers just want everything.
Yeah.
And so I started thinking, I'm like, it's amazing how we're designing for our private clients, like, these custom projects. But then it's speaking to a wider market.
Mm.
And, Miami, and with what's going on with real estate in Miami and how it's just, ever evolving. And, the if I tell you, like, for example, the one house that I mentioned that I did as like, my last project I did on my own, 10,000 square foot home, our client bought it for 14 million. And then he sold it like 6 months after he moved in for $32 million.
Whoa.
So we're talking big numbers. And so I think with staging, I've never seen a staging company that executes a project where you can't really tell if it's a project for an end user or if it's staging for real estate staging
Mm.
for resale. And so I'd love to bring in that sort of custom approach to staging that I don't think has really been done before,
Hmm.
and that I think translates really well in Miami. And so that's sort of what I'm working on now. And I think, down the line, we'll do a ton of staging, and then still work on our full service design projects, but more on a, like, very exclusive level. Um, and yeah, I think that'll really book me for the next 5 years.
Well, and it's funny because you need, I mean, I don't need to tell you, you know it, but staging is a different animal. It's a whole
Oh yeah.
different animal. Yeah.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
It's faster, it's all the things. And luxury staging is is crazy. I mean, we've had conversations on the show about staging. I remember in New York City, I met Cheryl Eisen. Are you familiar with her work?
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. She's
She's
amazing.
oh my God, right? And what like she's like, I don't know, 5 foot nothing and minus 85 pounds, like but like a powerhouse.
She's killing it.
Yeah,
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 she's killing it.
yeah. And then Taylor Spellman used to be a stager as well, high-end luxury stager that's been on the show a couple of times. The thing is that I what I like that you talked about is that it's a division. That you understand it's opening up another revenue stream, but it's going to have a completely different process and it will need different people on that team. Not that they can't but like when you mention, your luxury design projects are 1 to 3 years. So somebody's used to working on your team in that 1 to 3 thing, and then all of a sudden they have 1 to 3 minutes to get a staging done. You know,
Yep.
it's a different skill set sometimes in people to make that recognition that, oh yeah, we're not going to think about this for 5 hours. We're actually already going to have stuff sourced and on the mood board by then. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. And I think, I think both companies will sort of complement each other, because like I
Yeah.
said, the flair that I'll bring to luxury staging will be, we'll have our own signature collection, and we'll work with our vendors, our local vendors to, make, a line of beautiful custom headboards that can be modular, or, sofas, and just sort of create this inventory that, hey, if we have a project where we have a sofa on back order for, 6 to 8 months, but we need this design project furnished and done. Well, guess what? Now we have, our sister company that can sort of serve the other. And I think there's just, I think the beauty of custom design and custom furniture, that's sort of what moved me to name the company House of One. And I love designing custom pieces. I love collaborating, with different artisans and vendors, and working with them on, making beautiful collages together, because that's really what a design project is. It's just a beautiful collage.
Right.
And so I think there's a lot of synergies between the two. And like I said, I'm fortunate enough to be in a place like Miami where there are so many opportunities. And, with real estate, there's just so much going on and so much inventory. Like, it's just, I see these listings on Zillow. Because again, going back to research, I'm always on Zillow. I'm always, trying to see what's going on out there. And I see these projects and I'm like, oh my God, staged. And I'm like, this could be way better. Let us
Yes.
come in and like really like sell the home for you. So I think that'll be fun, and collaborating with different real estate agents and kind of bringing the whole team together, I think will be really cool.
I love that. And you mentioned that you were in the real estate industry. Were you in luxury real estate at that point, or were you in your garden variety? We all live in a regular house real estate.
No, funny enough, I was in commercial real estate.
Oh,
So
so
I
it's
was playing
completely
with the big
different.
boys. Yeah, I
Yeah.
was like, I was sitting in an office, with a very well-known developer in Miami, and every Monday we'd have these 8 a.m. meetings, and I was just like, I would leave those meetings and be like, oh my God, like that's when I had a little bit of imposter syndrome too. And I was just like, oh my goodness, like I just had a meeting, with so and so, and this is just like insane. And even having those conversations with clients, like knowing what properties trade for per square foot, and being able to connect with clients on a personal level, because a lot of our clients, we work with CEOs, celebrities, athletes, people from all walks of life, but you know being well rounded in the things that I'm passionate about has also gravitated us towards this community of people that we really enjoy to work with.
Mm.
So I think it's all really complementary.
I love it. Well, I love, that's like you when you cut your teeth in commercial real estate with the big property developers and stuff. I mean, that's great training for now having those conversations with these same types of people that are the clients of who you're working with now, that you know what I mean? So that's like,
Yeah.
like you said, there was a little imposter syndrome at that point because you were that much younger, but you've dealt with those people. We're not intimidated by them now. We're like sitting across the
Yeah.
table and you're like, come on, like let's just do the deal, right? Like,
Yeah, now I see them at events and they're like they're like, we have seen you blow up. I'm like, and I'm just there like, yes, I will be calling you in about 6 months when we have our inventory.
That's awesome. And I meant to ask you, go back to that explanation of the name of the company, House of One. When I was reading about you before it, I meant to ask you that question. I didn't get it right there. What word is it? The House of One is one. What's that? What's that mean?
Yeah, so House of One, it's really it's about creating spaces and experiences for clients that are unique and that are special. And in that, like I said, we do a lot of custom furniture. Clients come to us because they want to hire a designer that's going to make really cool moments. They want something really fun that they can be proud of, and share with their friends and their family, and have cocktail parties and come over, and then their friends are like, oh my God, what is that piece? And they're like, oh yeah, it's my piece and I only have it, and that's kind of
Yes.
the really cool bespoke moments that we really love to do, and to create. And I knew very early on I was not going to be the designer, and I'm not talking down on any designer that does like living room designs or bedroom designs, or sticks to one aesthetic. But I knew that I wanted to be a little bit more broader than that, and I wanted to design uh, projects that were just, I think, a lot more layered and a lot more complex.
Mm, interesting. I love it. Very cool. Very cool. So you look, we've heard a lot of the good stuff. We've had a lot of that. Tell me, like a come to Jesus lesson, something that, because, here's why, Brittany, here's why. Think about yourself listening to this podcast 4 years ago. You are 1 year in business and you hear Brittany, and Brittany has got it together. She like has her confidence rolled up. She went out and hired a business, manager. She hired a design PR firm, and somebody listening could be like, well, and she talked her professor down. You know what I mean? By the way, did he let you do that, the closets for that project?
He didn't, and
Ah.
I'm not going to say whether or not I failed or passed the class, but yeah, he did not let me do that.
You see, that's just like, come on, dude, be in the real world for a minute. Like, I gotta
Yeah.
say, I just feel like, I don't know, I shouldn't talk out of turn. I've never taught a design class. I've never taught any darn class, at that level. So maybe I wouldn't have either, but it just feels like to me, what's the difference, right? Like, what's the
And by the
difference?
way, I felt like I wasn't feeling bad about, working on projects outside of school, but I was being very, discreet about it. I wasn't telling all my friends like, hey,
Yeah.
yeah, I got this project. I didn't want to make anyone feel like they weren't doing enough or that they should already be working, on projects outside of the classroom. Like I knew that I, was kind of dealing with something that, and by the way, it wasn't easy.
Right.
I took a road that was very, very difficult, but yeah, I mean, if I was him, going back, I would have just
Yeah.
let the student that's trying to, dream big and do what they got to do, like just let them do it. But
Yeah, I mean,
anyhow,
I don't like I said, there's going to be some professor out there that's going to straighten me out. You can take that to the bank, and that's fine because I don't really know what I'm talking about. What I just mean to say is I don't think I would have allowed you to substitute the project for the entire semester because maybe there's
yeah,
principles within the things that I was assigning you that I need to know that you master that may or may not have been involved in the closets. But I'm talking about that day. Like if you got to show up
yeah,
that day and do something in CAD, can it be this? Like, what's the deal?
yeah,
I don't know. Anyway, but here's the thing. Where I was going was go back 4.5 years ago and you hear this and you listen, somebody is young like you are, and they have everything just seems to fit into place. And we know that it's been hard. We don't want somebody to feel intimidated. We don't want them to feel like, it was easy for you. So is there a moment or a lesson or an aha that it occurs to you, oh no, hey, let me tell you or share this aspect with you?
yeah. I think, um, you know, it's really important to have positive people around you. This is not an easy road and it can feel really lonely. Entrepreneurship can feel really lonely at times. And it's important to, like I said, have people around you who are successful, even in their own industry. They don't need to be people who are directly involved in the design industry, but having people that you can just talk to and say, hey, like I'm feeling a little down today. Like I'm feeling stressed out. I don't really know what to do. There's things that I don't know that I can't even do research on, like where do I turn to? Um, and, and I think the number one thing, I have a friend of mine who, she's starting her own business, and now I've sort of become her mentor, which
Oh,
has been, really nice. And, she told me, she's like, I'm so happy that we've been able to sit down and have these talks. And, I've told her kind of more in depth of my story, kind of, coming into this, but, get your finances in order. There's not a time that's too early to really get the CPA and get QuickBooks and start, even if you're sending out an invoice and it's an invoice for $1,000, or, oh, here's another big one. Don't ever, and I did this, LuAnn, but don't ever purchase any furnishings with anyone's credit cards. Clients in the beginning were very adamant about, oh, just use my Amex. I trust you with my Amex. No worries. Here, go ahead. And I did that for like maybe 6 months, and it just became a complete headache. Don't ever take anyone's, credit cards and things like that. Always purchase everything through you. If they want to purchase things on their own and your business model starting up is not to, purchase any furnishings with markup, then sure. But, I would say don't do that. And the
tell
other
me what
thing,
was the bad thing that happened by doing that? Because somebody just hearing it needs to hear the reason why.
so you really don't want to have anyone's confidential information on any of your devices. You just don't want to have it on your phone. You don't want to have it on your iPad, on your computer. iCloud is a scary place, And thankfully I didn't, I didn't get to feel the bad end of that. But I think just, polishing everything up and acting as if you have a team, even when it's just you,
Yeah.
will only prepare you for success. Like it's going to be the best way to go. The other thing I think that really changed my business was, in the beginning, I was never charging markup.
Mm.
And I was, basically selling my clients. If it wasn't at retail, I was just handing them my discount. I
Ugh.
didn't know any better. It's
Oh.
like, hey, here's access to me and to everything that I have. You want to take my house? You want to take my apartment? Take my car.
Oh my
Um,
gosh.
and that changed the business for me because I mean, at the time I was on my own, so thankfully the expenses weren't, weren't that much. But now it's just like, hey,
Well, it's your
I'm
profit
having,
center. It's your profit
yeah,
center. And
it's
who
a
taught
profit
you
center.
that? Stacy, or listening to the different shows and you just started to say, "Okay, I got to do this." Like how did you make that change from, "All right, I'm not doing this anymore. I'm going to charge markup."
So I actually spoke with a designer. This was like maybe 4 years ago now, and she was like, you know, how are you charging?
Yeah.
And I told her, oh, I'm just charging a flat fee. She's like, okay, and then?
And
I'm
then
like, and then I'm doing the project. And she's like, okay, but that, what do you mean? And, I think it was like the very next day I had to send a proposal out. And I just changed the structure. I just added a little, oh, by the way, there's going to be, an X% markup. And they signed.
yeah.
And then I got that, I got that revenue in, and I was like, wait,
How much did
wait,
I
wait.
leave on the table all this time?
I'm like, hold on, hold on. If I really, I'm like, if I look back and think about how much money I didn't make, I'm going to be in a
Oh,
really bad mood. So
right.
let
I'm
me
going to
just
be in
be
a
in a
puddle of
good
mud.
mood. Yeah, let me be in a good mood and think about how much money now I can actually make, which just goes to show you, like, and this is one thing I'll say, do not go into this business because you want to make money. That's like, go into this business because you love it. And in this business, you can make a ton of money.
Right.
I think that's sort of, the way to look at things because, I just heard one too many stories about, unfortunately, interior designers not using best practice.
Mm-hmm.
And, the way I think about it is like, if you tarnish your reputation with one client, consider it tarnished for life. Like
Mm-hmm.
that's it.
Yeah.
And so, I think the finances and keeping everything, just as tidied up as possible early on and just kind of, acting as if you have a full team from the beginning is only going to do great things for you in the future.
Yeah. Yeah. I love it. I think it's outstanding. It's funny because I think I've said this on the show before. I've never met an interior designer that became an interior designer by accident. Never met one. Never met one. Never. I've interviewed 1,000 designers. I've met another 2,000 designers at events over the last 8 years, and how many over the 40 years in business at Window Works. And I've never had anybody say to me, well, my mother, sister, brother, Susan, was doing it and I figured I'd do it too. Or I started working at a design firm and the next thing you know, I was a designer. Like every one of you comes to it with a passion, right? Like I promise you, I sold window treatments for 40 years because I was dating Vinny and he had a window treatment business.
I love it. I love it.
Like I was like, are we selling something here? Put it in front of me. I'll sell it. If he sold copiers, we'd have an amazing copy business. I can promise you that. I could give a rat's butt. What was he at the end of it? I like to sell. I like to be, and like you said, I like to problem solve. I like to get in the thick of it, right? But I've never met a designer that's like, by accident, I'm a designer. And so your point is, to me, the nuance of your point is well made. It's like, get into it because you love it, but then figure out a way to make it profitable so that you can keep doing what you love. You know what I mean? It's just, it's kind of like being a doctor. Like, are you a doctor by accident? Like, I don't know. It's kind of like really hard to do. And that's the same thing with being an interior designer. It's so hard to do that you just don't like, well, I'll just do this as well as anything else. It's just too hard. And I do think you need to have that passion attached to it. But it's my mission that everybody attaches profit to it so that they can do it for as many years as they choose to do it. They don't just say, oh, I'd love to do it, but I can't do it anymore because I can't make a living at it,
Yeah. Especially when you have a team, I'm not just worried about, the money that's going in my pocket. I'm worried about, my team and their future and, their goals.
Yeah.
And I have quarterly meetings with them and I sit down and I'm like, are you happy? Are you doing what you like to do? How can we sort of shift you? Do you want to focus on designing custom furniture? Do you want to focus on how can we make you, work more efficiently, be happy so that the end result for our clients and for the projects are, at 100%. So then that means that, we're going to be profitable. Everyone's going to be happy and that it's, it's all going to work out for everyone. So And by the way, managing a team, I think, you asked me about if I was 4 years ago listening to this podcast. I think one of the things that I really didn't prepare myself for was managing a team.
Mm.
And that, think about when you're growing up and you're in school and you have your group of friends. You get to pick your group of friends. And if you don't like someone, great. Okay, fine. That's, you find your own little group of friends. When you own a business and you have a group, of different personalities, you can't just fire one because you don't like their personality. You got to go through all these layers and all these, like steps in order to figure out like, what's really going on and, how can you help people sort of be the best version of themselves that they can be. And if they don't want that for themselves or they don't see that for themselves with you, then that's okay, but I think, figuring out how to manage a team is also really important to think about if you want to hire,
Right.
because there's designers who do very well with outsourcing and they're just doing it on their own. And maybe they're not taking on 15 projects at a time. They only want to do maybe 2 or 3 and they're doing great.
Right.
And so,
well, I love it. And the thing about it is, you're right. It's no joke managing a team and hiring and all of the things. But it starts with understanding yourself well enough to know your strengths and your gaps so that you hire around those, for your gaps and things like that. And then also having your mission and your vision for your company so that you're hiring within that mission and the culture of your company. And that's like that next level of informed hiring and of becoming more of a conscious hirer and not hiring just for the skill set in front of you, but really understanding that you're hiring the human, the culture, and how it fits, how that person fits with the rest of you. So it is a real challenge for every business owner to honor both their own personal values and the mission of their company, and then find the unicorn that can do the skill but also fits those things. But that's possible to do, and it's also hard work. So, and then you have to put in the effort to manage and maintain them. So,
yeah,
it's all a thing. It's all a thing. It's all the
yeah.
things are things.
But at the end of the day, it's all fun. It's all fun,
That's
and
it.
like I said, it's been great, and I'm really excited to see where things go and to continue to grow. And right now we're traveling a ton. We've been able to, over the last year and a half, go to places like Colombia and Italy and Malibu, and
Wow.
it's amazing. It's like I'm like I'm living a dream right now,
Oh my
and so
gosh.
I'm happy and everyone's happy, and there's obviously little nuances here and there, and we continue to to try our best to elevate. But yeah,
Good
it's
for you. Good for you, kiddo.
work
I
in
swear to
progress.
God, that's awesome. You know what? I don't know how many years I'm going to do this darn podcast, but if I'm still here in 10 years, I want to interview you again in 10 years. I want to see what the heck you did, because this is like going to be a rocket ship ride. So that's awesome. Thank you. Thank you for listening to the show for all these years. I appreciate that. And thank you for wanting to share your story on the show and helping, the ones that are behind you understand that, it can be done. We have to make some hard decisions. We have to have belief in ourselves, but it can be done. And I appreciate you for showing up, Brittany, and sharing it today.
Thanks, LuAnn. I appreciate you and your platform. And, I hope that anyone who listens to this episode or any other episode just, understand that you have a real gem right here and you've been able to help me and so many other people. So thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. Look, Brittany, she's an amazing person. There's no question. But she's also a prime example of the saying, if she can do it, you can do it, right? You can. Brittany did understand early on the importance of investing in her business, right? And she seemed to take advantage of every avenue for assistance and exposure. She did not let the voices in her head say, not yet. What makes you think you should do this already? Or who do you think this is? Like you're not in it long enough. I love, love, love that. And as much as I promote investing in yourself and in your business, I know it takes guts to do this, especially in the beginning, but always it takes guts. It does. But I love it when I see you do it for yourself. I tell you all the time, it's time or money. I know you're smart. You will eventually figure out almost everything you need to do to run your business well. The thing is, how soon? How soon you figure it out is a result of if you're willing to invest in people, courses, and tools, or if you're going to do it yourself. Okay? Brittany knew what she learned in design school did not prepare her to run her own business. Between her personal drive to succeed and her leaps of faith, she made things happen. These aren't a guarantee, though, if they aren't accompanied by support from others and that belief in yourself. She had that, meaning a real, true, I'm betting on me, I'm worth betting on mindset. Do you have that? I hope you do. If you don't, I'm asking you to get to the bottom of that. Find out why. Explore it with a mentor, a coach, with someone. Thing is, Brittany had both. She had faith in herself and the people in her life cheering her on. Of course, with the cheerleaders come the naysayers. And that's why it's so important to surround yourself with the right people. All right? Brittany is a prime example of what Rachel Moriarty of Rachel M. Interiors told us way back in the first year of the podcast, that you should run your business like it is already at the level you want it to be, not at the level that it is currently. I'll link that show in the episodes there in the episode notes. There is some great information on how to have a creative entrepreneur mindset, and Rachel understood it right at the beginning. Speaking of previous episodes, I love when any of you, and especially when I meet someone in talking on the podcast as a guest, to learn that you have invested in the various experts that I've brought onto the show. I love learning that when I get a good impression of someone, that it's proven out by your experience with them. Brittany hired Stacy Davidson, founder of Everything But the Design, as a business consultant, and she also hired Natalie Norcross's PR team, a designer partnership. And of course, it's unusual to hire a PR team so early in business, but Brittany saw the path and, she figured it would pay off, and she was right. These investments got Brittany's firm press from local publications to national ones like Arc Digest. I'd say that boosted her credibility, wouldn't you? Right? And still, this was when it was this new business. She was running it, like Rachel said, in the way she wanted it to be. I love that Brittany knows what she knows, but that she notices gaps and she considers if she can use them to her advantage. She said in the last couple of years, some clients have sold fully furnished properties for double or triple the original listing rate. So, capitalizing on a great industry in the Miami area, Brittany is looking to open a staging division as an additional revenue stream. Interesting, right? Now, if you remember the episode with Leah Ward, she's a New York City-based luxury stager. And if you listen to that episode, you know that staging is a different beast. But that doesn't mean you can't conquer it. That doesn't mean you shouldn't consider it. I mean, we all have the capacity for what we have the capacity for. So, and I would tell you, if you're interested in staging, this summer I will be keynoting at RisaCon, the real estate and staging conference in Las Vegas. So if you're thinking about this, come to the conference and learn all about this adjunct business to interior design. We will link the RisaCon information in the show notes, and come say hi to me if you go, right? Now, I love this conversation with Brittany. I hope you did too. If what she said resonates with you, make sure you sign up to get access to my goodies page. We are constantly adding important nuggets and takeaways from the episodes in a condensed and convenient format. Okay, and we have one for today's episode as well. What you do is you go to luannigara.com/goodies. And once you sign up, then you can bookmark that link, because then you can just go back whenever you want and see what we've added and how we've updated it and put more resources there for you. All right, so that's luannigara.com/goodies. All righty, my friends. Thank you so much for joining me today. I appreciate you more than you will ever know. Decide to be excellent. Thank you for joining me today. This podcast is a production of LuAnn Niagara, Inc. If you want to know more about me, my books, or LuAnn University, go to LuAnnNiagara.com. And if you are interested in having WindowWorks help you with your next window treatment or awning project in the New York, New Jersey metro area, go to WindowWorksNJ.com to learn more. Have an excellent day.